What's up, Facebook friends? This is Three Moms and a Dad, where we talk about all the hot topics parents are talking about, and we want to hear from you and kind of weigh in together on everything that's happening now. So today's hot topic is going to be mommy shaming. I'm Brittany Begley. I do traffic, a little bit of everything. I have a son. He is a preteen. He's 12. How about you?
I've got a 5-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 0-year-old, 3 months, and I am sharing this right now on my Facebook page so that we can go ahead and let everybody know about it.
Okay, so how about you? How many kids do you have?
I am Sumati, and I have 2 kids, 14-year-old and a 7-year-old.
Okay, and how about for you?
I'm Stina, and I have 1 child. He just turned 4.
Oh, I know he's over there. He's being a very good boy, so you get extra mom credit. Okay, so what we're doing is we are talking about mommy shaming. I'm sure everybody here has been mom shamed before. And quickly what that is, we want to know from you right now. Have you ever been mommy shamed? Because Lord knows I have. One time I was kicked off an airplane. My son was young. We were headed to Las Vegas to see a family, and he was crying, and the flight attendant came up to me and said, "We're getting several complaints that your kid is too loud. We're going to need you to leave." So then
I just can't even believe they can do that.
I know, right? And I was a young mom, and so I was by myself with my son. And then when I got up to leave and I was starting to cry, I got a slow clap.
That is.
Oh my goodness.
That's not only that's not only shaming. That's horrifying and it's cruel because you're not in control of that.
Yeah.
You're not in control. I just want to put this out there. I'm coming in hot. Sorry. If you don't have kids, I wanted to share one thing that we know very well.
Yes.
We cannot control kids 100% of the time throughout all their ages, even when they're teenagers.
Yes.
So we are aware that it is upsetting you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I promise you it's upsetting us even more. If you can just give the parents a little wiggle room in that moment, moment of understanding rather than shaming or being cruel, it goes a long way because we are trying, and sometimes we just can't control kids.
That's true.
It's just a fact.
How about you guys? Best story when it comes to mommy shaming? I don't even know if best is the right word, but this is our topic.
Or most
so.
horrifying.
Horrifying. I don't know. What about you guys? Anytime?
For me, I was mom shamed because I was not breastfeeding my second child. Hardly did people know that he's allergic to breast milk and he has acid reflux.
Yeah.
So it's like he had to be on a special formula, but when you're outside and you're giving him a bottle, you don't breastfeed.
You get the eye.
Yes, and they're like, I could hear moms talking that, why is she not breastfeeding? She's stay-home mom. Why is she not breastfeeding? You know, when you're working, yes, you have a reason, but when you're a stay-home mom, you're supposed to do all those things. So.
And how did you react? Did you overhear and then not directly say something? Did you casually mention like, oh, it's really rough. I would love to breastfeed, but my child is allergic or has this issue, and then to inform them on, in a casual way.
The thing is that I didn't feel the need to tell that stranger.
Okay.
And it was like, it's okay. And then, but I did tell my friends, who of course will go and talk because we all moms talk, right? And then all these things come with the mom cliques. So you know this group of moms who are standing and glancing. Could be the reason they're mom shaming you, or they will be. So you tell one mom and it's gonna spread out.
Oh my gosh. Well, how about you? Mom shaming? I know yours is a little bit younger.
Yeah, but it didn't take long to just it was like a wham, here you go, gift of motherhood.
Boy.
But we were out grocery shopping, me and my husband, and we literally are like going through the aisles, and sometimes kids get a glance of that toy aisle and it's like whoosh, all couth goes out the window. And so I'm like, we'll look over there. Let me finish grabbing this stuff first. My son, he was only about 2.
Oh, that's still big.
And so he just completely had a meltdown. And at that point, I'm like, okay, babe, feel how you need to feel, but let's try to calm down. Let's ring it in. And it's like, as I'm talking to him and trying to work through the meltdown, literally over the store monitor, it was a worker who was stocking shelves. On his intercom.
No, he did not. He got on the intercom?
No, he was so ashamed to even look at me because on the intercom, somebody else was intercoming to him saying, my goodness, whose child is screaming like that? And at this point, I'm like, this is not happening. This is just not even happening. But it got worse.
Oh,
so
no.
as I'm sitting there now looking at him, he's like turning red because he's embarrassed that it's coming across a speaker. Another mom from the other aisle, I hear her talking, saying, well, why is the child screaming like that? And she walks over with her like 5-year-old daughter. And she looks at me in my face and she gives me, you know, the shame look, like shame. Yeah. So I'm like, he's 2. What do you want me to do? I'm trying to talk to him, and it's hard enough to have over the intercom. Everyone knows that my child is having a meltdown, and then here you come staring at me too. I'm like, I'm tired. Believe me, I am.
And it's like you feel bad for the kid.
Yes.
Because let's face it, there's something going on, and when they're 2, they're frustrated. It's real frustration. It may not make sense to us.
But they can't express right at that age, so it's so hard.
In their world, these are big moments. You know, when their happiness is they want something, and then they can't have it. They don't have the ability. They don't have the history of not getting what they want, all these things. And so, I mean, you feel bad for your kids. So you're trying to raise your kid and have a nice moment. But you're trying to do it in the world, and the last thing is that it's not helpful. The look is not helpful.
I hate the
look doesn't make the problem go away.
It does not.
And it doesn't help the kid, and it doesn't help the mom or the dad, and I'll get into that in a second. But, you know, we got to work. It takes a village, right?
Really
so you don't know these people that are kids having a meltdown, but you'd be surprised. As a stranger, distraction is my favorite technique.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not physical. It's effective. It works, and a little distraction can go a long way.
Yes.
Okay, so speaking of that, quickly, I want to show you this clip from Bad Mommies, because I think it really sets up what we're talking about on Bad Mom. I love this one.
Here comes Amy. Just don't know how you leave your kids all day and go to work. Oh yeah, but I also need things like money. Right. I'll see you guys later.
Amen. Hallelujah. I need some money. I got to make sure that my son eats. So yeah, it's another example of mommy shaming. But I have to ask you quickly, what are people saying? I've seen a couple comments and I'm like, yeah, I know exactly what you're going to say.
A lot of people watching. No pressure. This is great because I think we all can relate to this. So Jessica Downey says, good morning. We got Susan saying hi. Sadie saying hi. We've got Prince, my wife, Jessica Downey. Prince Brennan.
Oh, my husband.
There we go.
Oh, he's watching. Okay.
All right.
And then Sadie is my friend.
There we go. I love it. I love it.
But you see what Susan's saying is about why is that any different than shaming people that don't have kids?
Right.
Like, oh, you don't want kids? Or that's awful too. I hate when people say that.
Yes.
It's all horrible.
It's awful. And I think the point that I also wanted to make was we were talking about how kids have a meltdown in a grocery store or Target or whatever. And I feel bad for mothers, especially who have kids with special needs.
Yes.
Oh my
It's as it is hard in their household. They're having so much of pressure, and then when they have this kind of a thing and parents around not being empathetic and being rude, what are we leading our kids into?
We should be treating those parents like queens. Like, hey, I know you're working hard.
Yes.
Here's a bottle of water. I don't know.
A bottle of something else.
Yeah, a bottle of champagne for later.
So here's a great one from Hillary to this point. So this is all working together. Remember, this is a live conversation, so we say something, people react to what we're actually talking about in the moment.
I like that, for sure.
So Hillary says, I wish we can control the emotions that they have. Kids and people will be judgmental. They have different opinions about how they should be raised. I try and tell the kids, so when I see a child screaming, I try to tell the kids it's going to be okay and it will be fun or whatever, to help the parents to try and have the kids smile. So working with a stranger, let's get them to smile. And she says it works 9 times out of the 10.
Yeah, like
it really.
And Jessica's got a 6-year-old that has meltdowns in the grocery store, and people say she's too old to act like that. And she says, I know, it's called autism. And they develop differently. So sometimes there has to be, there's a tough moment, a misunderstanding, not knowing the whole story, and Jessica chooses that moment to educate or to enlighten somebody about their situation.
Well, if you're just joining right now, this is 3 Moms and a Dad, and we are talking about mommy shaming. So that's what we want to know. Have you ever been mommy shamed? And just so you know, we kind of looked it up. I kind of think mommy shaming is when you judge another mom, but the official definition they're saying is mommy shaming is the act of one mother shaming another whose beliefs don't align with hers, which by that definition is insanely selfish, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so out of 475 moms, at least one with the age under 5, 37% of the shaming came from parents. 36 came from spouses. Oh, you bet.
Oh my God.
Get divorced. How?
And no way. We're not co-parenting now.
31 is in-laws. 14% is friends. And 12% is strangers.
Wow.
What were we going to say? I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I was like, spouses?
Let's talk about the spouses.
Yeah.
Can we all admit that sometimes moms and dads or your partner, let's throw that out there too,
I know,
they do things differently. In some households, there's someone that's really into discipline, they're good at it, so the other parent will say, okay, let's handle that. And maybe they don't approve of the way that you did it. So I think that some shaming is a broad term for disapproval of the way that the other parent is doing it. It can happen in a household.
That is true when you put it that way.
It does. It's not helpful, but it does happen. I know I'm ashamed, but I've done it before. I've said things like,
put it that way.
I know that you're sad right now, but mommy doesn't want you to have cheese at the moment.
But I think when it is like a spouse shaming, I think in the household it works because you're working as a team. So there are things that a mom has to do, or there are things as a dad has to do. But when it comes to shaming from the friends or just the people that you know, it's bad because they don't know your style of parenting and you don't know their style of parenting.
That's true.
And for every household, it's different. Whatever works for the household is you have to follow.
Exactly.
What about you? Have you ever mommy shamed your husband or partner? Like
unintentionally. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
Unintentionally, you know. Because a lot of times since my son is home with me, you know, we have a schedule and everything. And sometimes my husband, he is he's so helpful. But sometimes his version of helpful kind of like teeters and breaks cycles. So then my son will wind up going into like meltdown mode. And I'm like, oh, babe, for real? Why?
Oh, but that's like the same thing happened with me this morning with my husband too, that he wants to help, but I'm like, oh, this is not the way I do the mornings. So
but I also think in relationships there's that disconnect where you have to remind yourself how you talk to your partner. Because I will bring up when my son was born, Joe put the car seat on top of the car. My son's 12 and I'm still bringing that up. And that's
Was the child in the car?
Yes, he was in the car. He was up in the car and got home. This is like from the hospital. Got home and put him on top of the couch. See, but right now I can't let that go. So maybe no one wants to be married to me. I have to remind myself how I talk to my partner because we don't do things the same. What are people on Facebook saying?
Oh my God. Okay, first of all, like, look, it's not a good moment, but this is like type 2 fun in a way. It's not fun in the moment. It's stressful.
No,
but you know what? Afterward, when you realize that you did the best you could, it didn't affect you. You're stronger for it. Then it's a good thing to talk about.
Basically,
I think that's why it's resonating. We've got Linda. If the kids have a meltdown on a plane, you can't blame them at all. It's loud noises, strange people. Maybe you, the stranger, can bring a Tootsie Roll Pop with you that usually can calm them down. And we've got so many different comments and questions. Let's do some. Let me talk about. By the way, dads are included in this too.
Yes, they are.
Yes.
So, and then we're gonna get more comments that were from people that follow my Facebook page.
Yeah.
So a poll. Actually, we'll do comments first.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about the dad shaming. So here's the first one, Kathy G. We'll go ahead and put that one back up again. Again, it's a live show. Come on, it's Facebook.
I know. We're having fun.
So here's one. If I was referring to being mommy shamed, I wasn't aware of it. How I raised my child was my business. Children don't come with an instruction booklet. We all have to figure out what works best for both parent and child.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, isn't it about the kids?
It really is. And I don't think people realize the level of hurt and harm that you bring, because not only is the parent already hurt because they're already trying to deal with their child the best way they can, they're getting ridiculed, but your child sees you sometimes break down and cry because it's just that extensive. And the impact on the child is just like, wow, how do you explain this to a kid so young, like why mommy is crying or why daddy is like upset? You can't really like formulate it to them in a way that they can digest that and understand.
They're just scared.
So then they see you cry, and half the time they probably never seen you cry. So now your child is like, oh my gosh, my world is crumbling. What's happening?
That is the scariest thing as a kid.
The funny part is, I was speaking to my mom last year, just talking to her about mom shaming things that has happened with me, and I asked her, did you have any kind of problem? And she said, we never had that kind of a social platform where we had the, we were live or we were open about talking or telling. We were growing up, everybody was busy, and we all had the same thing. The only worry we had was you can be rude. You have to go to church or you have to go to temple. But over here right now, we're like with this open platform, social media.
Hide behind a computer screen and shame because you're miserable.
Yes.
Yeah. And you know, somebody brought up the big social media post that went viral.
Which one?
It's the shaming the people that decide not to have kids and that they shouldn't be going to Disneyland. So remember that went viral.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
They should definitely go.
That went viral. But that, again, that's that phenomenon of everyone's really brave and they've got all sorts of right opinions when they've got a keyboard and they're anonymous.
Yes.
We'll get some more comments here that were on my Facebook page with actual people and people that follow my page with names. So we've got, again, referring to mommy shaming. This one is from Elfie. This one is no, referring to mommy shaming, and I don't care if I was. You know, sometimes you just got to be tough and say, you know what, I got to just do my thing, and this is not going to stop the way I raise my kid. We've got Abby. Yes, I gave my kids thick patties of beef jerky to teeth on, and was shamed for it.
Why? That's actually brilliant.
Yeah.
I know. I'm like, first of all, they can't shame you, and thanks for the tip.
Right?
And if it doesn't work, hey, beef jerky for dad.
I know, right?
And we've got ANNMARIE says, my pediatrician father-in-law said our son had the worst case. Of colic he had ever seen. Just trying to run errands. We would get, why don't you feed your baby from strangers?
What?
And them not knowing that I had just fed him.
Yeah.
And then we've got Jessica D. about mommy shaming all the time. I feel like every parent gets judged at one time or another.
Yeah.
Yes.
And for us, it's like every time we go out. But such is life when you have a child on the spectrum, referring to autism. A lot of people are extremely misinformed when it comes to autism.
Absolutely.
And that can be a difficult thing because the child is going through so much.
Yes.
And the parent is reacting to a situation that may be new to them.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of learning moments and a lot of I don't know what to do. And trying to figure it out. And when you're doing that in public, while you're getting negative feedback, I mean, that I can just imagine that is really stressful and not helpful. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. Okay, so I want to show you this, a photographer, since we're talking about social media and how we can bring up the platforms. There's a photographer in Las Vegas, and she took pictures of children posing next to signs with messages that parents get shamed with, like, I watch TV.
Yes.
My mom used to cry. That was my sleep training. And she said, these are anti-mommy shamers. We need to unite. Of course, it went viral because people were frustrated with their decision. First of all, that baby's adorable.
She is.
My parents have full-time careers. Yeah, because I don't know, you'd like to eat that. I don't know. Co-sleep. All those.
So the funny thing is, because everybody talks that they have been mom shamed because they go back to work. I was mom shamed because I was stay-home mom. I chose to do that, and after my son was like 2 years, and I would have friends call me and said, why are you sitting at home and wasting your education? Go back to work.
What do you say to that? What do you say to that? What, did you wake up and decide you're going to make me feel bad today? Is that like what you did?
And I was like, yeah, why don't you go back to work? I'm like, no, I'm fine right now. I don't want to spend a nanny, and I'm happy to be here. And when I feel that I'm ready, when I feel my kids are ready, I would go back.
Yeah.
I know, but you're wasting your time, and you have so much of.
You invest a lot in your children. Though.
Yes, you do.
Right. That's
and
the
it's
most important
see,
thing you
if
can do.
I'll tell you, if I am a stay-home mom, I volunteer in the classrooms. That fundraising money we get from the moms who are working. So it is a win-win situation.
It is.
You both
Absolutely.
are doing our work. So I think it's perfect, whether you're stay home or you're not.
do
You
too.
should not be mom shamed because of those reasons.
Absolutely, because both roles are still very, very
Yes,
important.
yes.
It's essential.
I have time and you have money, and
right.
combine
So let's
together.
do it together.
Let's figure it
do
out.
it together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so here are 10 reasons you might get mom shamed. Talking about breastfeeding, we already talked about that one. Work or stay at home, and then mom bodies. Have you ever been mom shamed about your mom body?
Oh my goodness, yes. And it's like, mine was kind of like the reverse. You know, first of all, when you have a child and your body changes, it changes so quickly before you even realize it. You're like, my clothes don't fit. I don't know. I just woke up in this new body, and you're already kind of trying to come to grips with it. And for me, I had my son. I went up to almost like 200 pounds, and then I immediately lost the baby weight. And when I did, I was still kind of like feeling self-conscious about myself, and I would get things from like everybody. Oh, you're so skinny, da 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 da. And I'm just like, you don't understand. Like, I literally woke up in a brand new body, and I'm having a time grappling with this. And it's like, just because I'm not like whatever size you expect me to be, it doesn't mean that it doesn't bother me. Yes, I'm smaller, but again, this is a new body for me. so.
And why is it that we have such different expectations for women versus for men? Can I just bring that up?
Because of dad bod?
Yeah, we do like a lot of dad bod stories, and it's always funny and cute and whatever, and it's in Super Bowl ads.
Yeah.
You know what? Everyone is going through their own personal struggle. They're all trying to do the right thing. They're all trying to eat right and live right, but life is stressful.
Yes.
We are up long hours.
Yes.
We're dealing with kids. We're trying to do the right thing. And you know what? It is what it is. And nobody, men or women, should be shamed about it because we're all trying to do the right thing, but we're up against the wall. There's only so many hours in the day, and we're just trying to do the right thing. And sometimes your personal health, because you're sacrificing your time for others, may take a back seat.
Yes.
You might have the ranch dressing with the fries because you know what, you're really hungry and it tastes good. And I'm going to worry about, I don't know, that might happen later today. But you know what, it's just about getting through the day, doing the best that you can. And things change. Your weight goes up, your weight comes down, but it's a struggle. And if you can help with the struggle, then you're being part of the solution, not part of the problem.
Just being kind.
But going back to the dad thing, I think my husband is facing the similar situation. He has stressful hours, and he's been told by a couple of our family members, "Oh, you have a pouch coming," and I'm like, and he doesn't get time to eat properly because he's
taking care of the family.
Family, and he's traveling. I mean, you're traveling, staying in hotels across the
Forget it.
No, it's not going to work that you'll get that healthy meal. When he's here, he wants to have all the low-carb diets and everything. But with kids, you want to go out to a restaurant, you can end up going to a salad bar.
Yeah,
because with kids, they want to go to an ice cream parlor. So I think dads are going through that too because of experience.
Here's a quick just tidbit. A USA Today poll said that more than half of the dads who were polled, 52%, said they were shamed. So it's not just mommy shaming.
You get shamed?
It's what? Yes, I do.
I don't admit it out loud.
Yeah, I do. Well, because these are the things that they said that they were shamed about. You ready?
Okay,
and maybe you can imagine that this would be the case.
I'm interested.
They were shamed, men, for discipline, how they discipline. Too much, too little,
I guess
playing too rough, not paying enough attention to their child. I have words about that in a second.
Okay.
Other parents and from grandparents. I will say this. This is a big, bold statement. I think what I see, and I'm not shaming here, but sometimes there's two things that happen. I see a lot of dads, usually on weekend mornings, they might be working a lot, and that's their time. Mommy needs a break or whatever. Hey, why don't you go to the park with the kid? And they're just not engaged.
Because they're exhausted.
Yeah, and the thing is that, and I caught myself doing this because I've done this sometimes, is I'm looking at them, and this is just me admitting that, come on, like you're at the park with your kid. Like they probably look forward to this all week. And you're on your phone, and you're doing this at this swing. Like they just need like half an hour with you. That's it. But guess what? Sometimes it might be because my schedule is different. It's like 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm that guy just because I'm tired.
You've been up since
they're having fun, and I just need like a 5-minute break because I've been with only my kids for 4 hours in a row. So then I'm doing it, and I'm catching glances from other folks. So it's this whole thing of we do it too. We don't intend to do it. We don't know the whole story. But again, if we can all be part of the solution and just kind of catch ourselves in those moments when, in that moment, can I do just a little bit better and just try? And sometimes you're just in the moment, you're just doing what you can do.
So if you're joining right now, we're talking about mommy shaming and daddy shaming. And then I told a story about where I kicked off an airplane in Vegas with my son and I got the slow clap. And Donna comes back to say, she rewinded the tape to hear the story. And she was like, I'm so sorry that happened to you. Those people on the plane should be ashamed of themselves. Haven't they been there, done that with their little ones? How quickly they forget. So I want to ask you, all of you guys, before we wrap this up, what's that one thing you want people to know about mommy shaming, and what's that one thing you learned today that maybe you're like, I don't know. I'll start first. I would probably say mommy shaming as far as I shouldn't feel so bad about mommy, I got kicked off an airplane, I'm going to own it. Now, I think I just need to be careful how I talk to my partner about raising our kid. Like, don't give him that much macaroni, what's wrong with you? Okay, so that's what I learned. How about you, Rob?
That's good. Your mom voice is good. It cuts through. It cuts through. He's like, okay, I'm not going to have macaroni myself ever.
Never again.
I think it's universal. I think it's men and women. And I think the theme that we always hit on this show, so please keep tuning in. We're sharing stories, but it's also almost like free therapy.
It is.
Yes.
Because look, we come from different backgrounds. We're different ages. We have different cultures, different family makeups. But guess what? we're all sitting here talking about the same thing.
Exactly.
That's good. Moms,
it's across the board.
Yes, I agree with you on that one.
And we're united in that we're going to deal with this. We're going to talk about it. We're going to move on and go on to the next thing. But in the moment, when these things are happening that we're getting shamed for, whatever it is, whether it's the kid in the bed too long, or breastfeeding or not, or crying on an airplane, or being bad at a restaurant, or screens, or whatever, you know, we're just trying to do the best we can.
That's it.
We're not saying, we don't wake up in the morning and say, you know what, I'm going to fail really bad today.
Right.
The last thing on my list today is whatever my child needs. They're going to be last on my priority list. We're just doing the best that we can. I think we're united in that.
What do you think is mommy shaming or daddy shaming? We are actually trying to tell that we are not kind, because we want to raise our kids in a kind world. We want to raise them to be empathetic. And at the same time, all of us, we have those moments where we have been mom shamed, or we have done it not intentionally.
Right.
So I think we should be more kind and empathetic, and that's what we can teach our kids too.
So did you learn anything today just talking to us? Like, were you like an aha moment?
Yeah, that I have to be very kind to my husband.
How about for you? What do you want people to know, and what did you learn?
Much like what she said, like empathy really goes a long way. Like sometimes just take yourself out of the equation for a second, especially if you already have children, and say, you know what? I remember when my child did this. Maybe if I had somebody to do this or help me, it would have been better. And so for me, it's really that empathy factor, because I've been literally in a bathroom with a mom trying to get all 3 of her kids. And that is the hardest thing. And I'm like, I know you don't know me, but I will stand outside this bathroom with your kids just so you can use the bathroom. Like, that's the biggest thing. Because I was like, I wish someone would have helped me, you know? So just express that empathy, pass it along, and just kind of put yourself in someone else's shoes.
Well, I love it. As we wrap up, any comments to close us out here, Dad?
Well, here's one final thing. So I think there are people that it comes across as shaming or being judgmental about what you're doing. And in that moment, we have to take people, just accept that maybe they are trying to help, but maybe it's just in a different way. You know, if someone's like, hey, why don't you do this? Or I think they're hungry, or I think whatever. We might be defensive because maybe that is the case, and we realize it in that moment, and they're just trying to be helpful. So there is a moment when we're feeling shame, but it's actually people trying to be helpful. We don't know if that's really what's going on, but just be open to that possibility.
That's good.
Well, thank you guys so much for having this conversation. I appreciate it. We're going to go back in the comments a little bit later today or tonight when we get our tours done, just to connect with you. But you can follow all of us on our Facebook. And I will say, if you are worried about being vulnerable, or if you're worried about being shamed, Brené Brown is a great author who studies that, and she's kind of really helped me step into being myself and not living a shame-driven life. So we'll end it on that. Thank you. We'll end it on what you have to say.
Jessica, we hear you. Jean Ross, sorry I said that wrong, and Janet, we see your comment. We will jump in there and we'll talk back to you after the show. We're just out of time.
And we'll see you Thursday, 10:30. Put suggestions on what we should talk about.